I always feel a bit intimidated when I come and do talks like this, because you have all these professors and ophthalmologists and specialists, and then you have me, June Neil from the RNIB. But hopefully in what I'm going to talk about today you'll find useful. As you can gather, I am from Scotland. I do work from the RNIB, and one of my faults is I can tend to blather for Scotland, so I'm going to rely on Seb to go 5 minutes during 5 minutes. Okay, so my talk is about how we are trying to prepare the workforce roundabout to support people with sight loss and dementia. They didn't tell me they were going to give my gizmo here to move the slides, so hopefully, nope. Okay, yeah. So my first slide is, why is there a need to prepare the workforce? So I think we've heard lots and lots today that there's changes in the population. We're living longer, and with age comes sight loss. And as we've heard from Gemma, you know, dementia is not a natural part of ageing, but also increases in dementia do occur with ageing as well. So we have 1 in 5 people over the age of 75 that are living with sight loss, and we have 1 in 6 people over the age of 80 that are living with dementia. So if we start to put these two groups together, we can see that more and more we're going to be needing to support people with sight loss and dementia. We've heard earlier, we've also got an increase in comorbidities. More and more people are living with 2 or 3 long-term conditions, which again could be sight loss and dementia. And we're having people with learning disabilities that are also living longer, and they are more susceptible to be living with sight loss and will experience dementia and earlier age as well. We also have a need to increase knowledge and confidence in health and social care professionals. We tend to find that people within the sight loss world are very competent when it comes to sight loss from age-related eye conditions, and very knowledgeable, but you know, maybe need support when it's bringing together how do you support someone who's living with dementia? How do you use all that skill and knowledge as your ROVE or your rehab workers? How do you put that together to implement different strategies that might change as the dementia progresses? And similarly, you have people within the dementia world that are very competent when it comes to supporting from dementia and putting in strategies, but might not be aware of the sight loss, and how do you support from the sight loss? Also within the sight loss world, we are hearing more and more that people don't have an understanding of visual processing difficulties, how this impacts on the person, and how they will have to adapt their approach to take that into consideration as well. So in the sight loss world, a lot of the training that I have to do is to go out and start to bring together and bridge the gaps between these two poles and see, this is what you have to think about. You might be confident in giving guiding techniques, but have you thought about that black mat, how that's going to be interpreted by the person with dementia? Have you thought about the shadows? Have you thought about the depth perception problems? Have you been able to think about bringing not just the one eye condition from the cataract, the glaucoma, but the visual processing difficulties and all the additional factors that come with dementia? So the cognitive impairment, the strategies for stress, the tiredness, the fatigue. How do you bring that together to provide support? And, oh, right. I apologise. Also, we've heard from the PROVIDE study, again, that we're seeing that people are not accessing eye health care, or feeling that they might not be able to cope with a sight test. So some of our work is going around and promoting access to eye health care as well. And not only do we need to promote access to eye health care, but once people get there, optometrists need to be able to support that person with their eye health check and make reasonable adaptations so that the optimum results from that eye test are taken. One of the things that we've heard a lot about is people that have visual processing difficulties, and it's really, really important that we raise awareness of, we call it visual distress, so that you may have people going to the optometrist, turning up and saying all the things that we've heard earlier today, that they can't see, they have numerous pairs of glasses. So that's one of our roles that we've been doing. And when we go out and deliver our training to optometrists, we very much use people's experience of PCA and some filming to help explain that. So how are we doing this? Stand close to the mic. We're doing it through training, working in partnership and developing resources. So I work for the practice development team. We're a small team. We're based up in Scotland. There's 3.5 of us. Yep. So, and I'm the one person that sort of leads the work round about dementia and sight loss. So it's very important for us to work in partnership, and it's very important for us to develop tools and resources that we can give out to people so that they can do their job. Because although we feel that this is one of our areas that we can support with, you're going to have rehab workers, dementia advisors, carers, health professionals that are going to be contacting and working and supporting people with dementia and sight loss in their daily work, and we feel that we need to support them with this. So we're doing some internal and external training. In our internal training, we've been supporting our colleagues at the Low Vision Clinic in Judge Street. We've been doing some work round about our resource centres, and again just getting them to think about, if you're supporting someone with dementia, how do you create that optimum not interview but consultation? Yep, so how do you set out your environment? Have you thought about the clutter? Have you thought about the patterned carpets? Have you thought about your communication style? Have you thought about all that noise? Because let's be honest, hospital, clinics, working environments tend to be noisy. How do you get that best result? We also do external training. So we've got Vision Friends. We've been doing some of that in England and some up in Scotland. And our Vision Friends is much more than an awareness. What it's trying to do, again, is link back an understanding of sight loss, either whether it's from an eye condition or whether it's from the dementia, from visual processing. And what we're also trying to do is to make sure that people are promoting access to eye health care, because if people are accessing eye health care, 50% of sight loss can be treated and prevented rather than treated. And also, we're also trying to, within the Vision Friends training, raise awareness of the importance of implementing optometry recommendations. So all that bit about, glasses, correcting sight loss, and the importance of current, clean and correct glasses. We've actually changed that from the 3 C's now to the 4 C's, which is really important and demonstrated quite nicely why you should work with your colleagues in dispensing opticians. Because when we turned round and said to them, what do you think the 3 C's stand for? The first thing they said was comfort, which we hadn't thought about. So, yes. So it's really important, not to just to train Vision Friends, but we've also done some Vision Champions. And our Vision Champions builds on the Vision Friends training, but I think the important thing from the Vision Champions training is we give them a vision toolkit, and we start to think about hidden sight loss, because often in dementia, with it being the primary diagnosis, sight loss can be overlooked or can be misinterpreted. So if somebody has stopped doing their activities, has stopped reading, has stopped going out at night, maybe doesn't recognise somebody's face, have you thought, could it be macular degeneration? Could it be problems with glaucoma? Have you ruled that out? So again, it's getting Vision Champions to be able to recognise signs of sight loss and support that person to access eye health care where that diagnosis can be made. We've also, as we've said, been doing some optometrist training. I'm not an optometrist, but what we've been doing is we've been looking at the softer things. How do you support that person with dementia to access eye health care? What about the pre-optometrist information? How do you know if the person has problems with with maybe like falls, reading, writing. How are you gathering that information? How do you know if the person does have dementia, or if the person doesn't have a diagnosis of dementia? How are you gathering that information that can support that diagnosis or be signposted to have a diagnosis of dementia? So when we're doing optometrist training, we look at the appointment, we look at during the appointment, and we look at the post-appointment information, because it's really important that people get that information, understand it, and are able to take it away. So, as I said, we try very hard to work in partnership with people, because we feel that it's partnership working that does improve the lives of people with dementia and sight loss. It also enables us to share our knowledge and our expertise and extend our reach and reach a new audience. Because if we are working in partnership, we can therefore design resources, and we can put things in place. So, for example, we've done some partnership working with Alzheimer's Society, their Step Into Dementia, just putting a bit about sight loss. We've worked with the NHS, creating our Vision Champions. We're working with ECHOs, eye clinic liaison officers, with doing best or effective practice notes, just to ensure that they are getting the maximum out of that one touch that they may have with the person in the eye clinic liaison office. So we're developing tools and resources as well. I've brought some of them just to kind of show, and I have brought some of them with me as well. So one of the things that we did with Alzheimer's Society, following on from the PROVIDE study, was we developed a top tip card to promote access to eye health care. Because again, we feel it's really important that we do use research to base our training and to base our resources on, and hopefully that helps to address the feeling that people cannot access eye health care, and also gives like some simple tips. So, highlighting that people can have domiciliary visits if that is better. And we did actually put in this bit, telling optometrists if glasses are uncomfortable. So we did learn. Okay, we've also developed a dementia and sight loss leaflet, and again this was done with our colleagues in Alzheimer's Scotland, and in it there is a wee checklist to help separate some of the signs from sight loss for the signs of dementia, and again that's just to help reduce the risks of diagnostic overshadowing. We've done our effective practice notes, because again we've got to think about people with dementia and people with sight loss, bringing it together to have a higher incidence of falls. So how do we prepare people who are in the fall screening team? How do we prepare them to support somebody, during that interview, or to raise awareness, or for them to be able to signpost into the resources they need? We've also done an IT effective practice note again, because when you start to think about how do we use technology, people within the sight loss world maybe have used technology all their life, but if you're developed dementia later on in life, technology may be something that you've not used. So how do you start to bring that together? We've also had the privilege to be part of Vision UK, and I think contributing and bringing that expertise together of all different groups has been really, really important. And the number of times I've given out the cataract fact sheet, regarding surgery, I could be a millionaire by now, because I think these are questions that people are asking. If my mum does have a cataract and she does have dementia, can she have surgery? I was in RNIB in Judge Street the other day, and I was talking to the receptionist, and she said to me, "What are you doing down here?" And I was saying, "I'm coming along to the conference." And she was saying, "My mum's got a cataract and she lives in a care home. Do you think she could be having surgery?" And I signposted her to the fact sheet about cataracts and said, "Here you are, that'll go on and answer some questions." It also, if we are pulling our expertise together, I've got 2 minutes, Matt says, 2 minutes. It does mean that we hopefully will be getting it right. So what's our next steps? This is probably where it gets, for me, a bit more exciting. In Scotland, we're looking at a dementia eye care pathway. We're looking at how do we support people with dementia who might be having difficulties with visual processing. So we've got people from the Scottish Dementia Working Group involved in that, and we're looking at how do we, if somebody's presenting themselves being visually distressed, how do we manage to link that up quicker from GPs so that people are being directed into the right pathway. We're working with the Scottish Government and NES, I can never say this, acronyms don't work for me, but it's Health Education Scotland. We're looking at eyewear, which is an app. I've got some information here. And again, one of the difficulties that we're always hearing from people with dementia is, and sight loss, that people don't understand how that affects them. Now, the eyewear app shows all the age-related eye conditions, but it doesn't show visual processing. So we're looking at how can we put in the effects of visual processing into an eyewear app so that optometrists can show the person and their carers how that their vision's been affected and can start to relate that information back. And we're looking at doing some work round about falls dementia and sight loss. The other one thing I just want to very quickly add is within our Vision Champion programme, and one of the things we hope to implement within the dementia eye care pathway is that we do have a vision passport within it. You can see it's really small, it's a 1 page, and what that does is it can either have the eye condition, it has the vision, how the vision affects the person, what they can and cannot see, any adaptations you should be making round about communication for guiding mobility, lighting, contrast, and Jennifer, you'll be really pleased, spectacles and low vision aids as well. Yay! So, yeah, so I think I should stop. Okay, thank you.